Why did Kevin Durant choose to leave the Warriors for the Brooklyn Nets?
We have read countless stories over the last 10 months that offer theories or anecdotes or stories behind the rationale.
Rich Kleiman, KD's friend, agent and business partner, made a couple things explicitly clear during a recent conversation with Warriors general manager Bob Myers.
When I hear the media broke up the Warriors, that's so ignorant, he said. It's giving them way too much power. Or that Draymond Green and Kevin getting into it in a game, it's ignorant.
Anybody who wrote that clearly hasn't played competitive sports at any level.
Listen and subscribe to the Run and Plays podcast.
It's interesting to hear Kleiman mention the media narrative because last week, ESPN's Jay Williams, who works closely with Kleiman and Durant on the digital series, The Boardroom, was singing a much different tune on ESPN's First Take.
As much as the media speculated about whose team it was, we act like players don't listen to what we have to say. A lot of these players are fans, they watch shows, things trickle into the locker room, it creates awkward situations between players.
I think the media, the more time that goes by, as guys win and they win championships, the media, we're like, well, what else can we talk about? What else can we find to make this interesting? Oh, it seems like there are challenges.
And I think those challenges naturally throughout the course of time, that every team faces, but for teams that win at a high level, get blown out of proportion. And I think we saw that trickle into the locker room and that led ultimately to this team separating.
That's the realness and that's the fact of it.
Kleiman and Williams, obviously, are allowed to disagree on this subject. But it's noteworthy to hear Kleiman adamantly shoot down Williams's perspective.
Related, KD's 13 most jaw-dropping Warriors games, performances.
Changing gears quickly, Kleiman thoroughly enjoyed his time in the Bay Area when Durant called the region home.
I didn't go to college, he told Myers. I lived in Boston for 2 years, but after one semester I was basically done. It really felt like 3 of the most magical seasons, at least, personally, of my life. Just being around it, meeting the people I met within the organization, meeting the people in the city, becoming so close with you, becoming close with a handful of other players on your team, I really spent a good amount of time around it. It was incredible.
Our meals in the media room, those were moments. It felt like we were in college for a few years, like nothing else mattered.
Follow @Drew Schiller on Twitter and Instagram.
Programming note, Wire to Wire, Warriors vs. Kings, debuts this week on NBC Sports Bay Area and NBC Sports California. The hour-long special is highlighted by extensive in-game audio from the Warriors-Kings game on February 25 at Chase Center. Watch it re-air on NBC Sports California on Wednesday at 10 p.m.
If you've seen an NBA throw his arms up in feigned shock after a foul call once, you've seen it 100 times.
You've probably not seen a reaction to that as funny as this, however.
Our cameras and microphones caught Warriors coach Steve Kerr deadpanning after Jordan Poole was called for a shooting foul on Kings forward Harrison Barnes when Golden State hosted Sacramento at Chase Center on February 25. His reaction, which you can see on Wire to Wire, Warriors vs. Kings, is as wry as you'd expect.
Generally when you reach in and foul a jump shooter, it is your fault, Kerr said of Poole's foul to Warriors assistant coach Jaron Collins.
Related, Warriors Paschal shares gameday routine in Wire to Wire.
Kerr, Poole and Kings guard Kent Bazemore all wore microphones that night, and each provided plenty of entertaining behind-the-scenes glimpses at what's said on the court, and on the sidelines, during an NBA game.
You can watch all the best moments in the player above.
ESPN's The Last Dance already has made for some great television, but let's be real. If Kyrie Irving doesn't hit that three-pointer, it's Steph Curry's 2015-16 Warriors that are widely considered the greatest NBA team of all time, and not Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls.
Alas, Irving did sink that clutch shot, ensuring such a claim would not hold much water. The 73-win Warriors were the greatest regular season team of all time, but their lack of a 16th playoff victory left a blemish that cannot be ignored.
Though that team won more games, regular season and playoffs combined, than any other in NBA history, Golden State's own Draymond Green doesn't consider it the best one he has been a member of. Nor does he acknowledge the 2016-17 Warriors, who won 16 of 17 playoff games following a 67-win regular season, as such.
Honestly, our 2017-2018 team probably would have beat our 2016 team by 20 to 25 points, Green recently told ESPN's Nick Friedel.
Listen and subscribe to the Run and Plays podcast.
The 2017-18 Warriors won the fewest regular season games of any of Golden State's recent title-winning teams, and their collective performance wasn't nearly as statistically dominant as it had been in any of the previous 3 years.
As Green explained, however, that drop-off was the product of their enhanced superiority.
If our 2015-2016 team completely locks in and say, listen, we are locked in, let's go play this game, and the 2017-2018 team say, we locked in, let's go play this game, the 2017-18 team wins by 20 points, easy, Green continued. And 2017-18 was a much better, more talented team and, when we're locked in and clicking, a much better team. But the thing about that 2015-2016 team was we were always locked in, and we were always clicking. There was never really a moment we weren't locked in. There was games, we lost 9 games. That's absurd. But the 2017-2018 teams were so much better than that team, but because we were so much better, we were never really locked in at all times.
What was the biggest difference between the 2015-16 Warriors and the ones that won back-to-back titles? 2 words, Kevin Durant.
Green acknowledged that it took some time for Durant and his new teammates to get used to one another on the court, but once they did, the sheer volume of talent lifted those squads above the ones that preceded them. However, that abundance of talent proved to be a hindrance of sorts.
So the first year Kevin was here, which was 2017, we spent the beginning of that year trying to figure it out, Green added. Quote, And so you figure, just with the beginning of that season, you can't get to 73 wins just how that season started off. And then in 2018, once we finished 2017 as champions, we come back in 2018, we know no team's going to beat us. And so we're not taking that regular season serious.
There was literally games during 2018 or times during the season where we're like, yo, let's go lock in on this game. And if we said we're going to lock in, we'd beat somebody by 30. But we didn't do that all the time. At times, we were just showing up, and we're still going to win because we're just better. But we weren't necessarily locked in because we knew how good we were. That 2015-2016 team, we had to fight for everything we got at all times. It wasn't like that later. We were so good, we didn't have to fight, and so the focus was never the same with those later teams, but we were way better.
Related, debating prime MJ versus KD is hardly a route, and here's why.
The 2015-16 Warriors fell this short of having rightful claim to the title of best team in NBA history.
Of course, if that blemish didn't exist, neither would the superior Golden State teams that followed.